Calaroga Shark Media.
Easy one again. Hi, I'm Shuddy Mac with your daily comedy news. Let's jump in here. Sam Morril was on Good Day Baltimore. Let's listen.
Who is this with us here?
This is Winnie. She's a rescue. I saved her.
Yeah.
She was getting sexually assaulted by a pack of chihuahuas.
Oh my.
In Los Angeles, and I stepped in.
Yeah.
And I crescent kicked 2 of them.
You did.
And we've been together ever since.
Is that going to be part of your routine? Like, what are we going to see this evening, this weekend?
Hitler, genocide, Kamala, Trump, and poop.
Well, all things that are on top of mind for folks the moment they wake up and turn our newscast on.
I don't want to burn a bridge here. I know how you feel about bridges in Baltimore, but
Oh my goodness! All right, Sam, we're gonna take it out of here.
Well, funny Friday, it didn't quite go the way Good Day Baltimore thought. Sam, yikes. Gilbert Gottfried will have a new album. Gilbert passed away in 2022. The 800-pound gorilla reported on Gilbert's new album, saying Gilbert never put out a comedy album because, according to widow Dana Gottfried on her Instagram page, Gilbert didn't want to use up his material. But there is a CD-DVD called Dirty Jokes, which to me is an album, but okay, whatever. Dana has partnered with Clown Jewels to release Gilbert Gottfried's first album, or second album, title To Be Announced. The album will feature material that was shot for the 2017 documentary Gilbert. In support of the release, there will be an event as part of the New York Comedy Festival at the Hard Rock in Times Square. There'll be a Q&A panel hosted by Frank Santopadre, who co-hosted Gilbert's Amazing Colossal podcast. I imagine that is a podcast episode that will be recorded there so they can run some spots. Totally get it. They will also debut a short film featuring never-before-seen footage that was cut from the documentary. All proceeds will benefit the Gilbert Gottfried Myotonic Dystrophy Type 2 Research Fund at Strong Memorial Hospital in Rochester. The album will be released both digitally and on vinyl on November 13th. Matt Reif going back on tour. We never talk about Matt Reif around here, you know. He also announced a new feature project. Matt Reif will be among the leads of Rolling Loud, which is an R-rated comedy co-produced by Live Nation Productions, which will film at the Hip Hop Festival, also called Rolling Loud. That's in Miami in December. Rolling Loud, inspired by the true story of an overprotective father who makes the worst parenting decision of his life when he sneaks his 13-year-old son into Rolling Loud, the world's biggest hip-hop festival, setting off a chaotic adventure with his reckless coworker and an eccentric festival volunteer as they navigate wild crowds, security, and copywriting rule of 3, their own family dynamics. Reif's tour dates won't be announced until later this year. Meanwhile, on Gossip Corner, Matt Reif is being criticized for his jaw fillers to the point where fans are saying they can't watch his new special. Wow, this from the Sun newspaper. They write, his cheeks appear to have huge dimples in them, and the lines by his jaw are prominent. One social media user wrote, would be nice if Netflix would stop trying to force me to watch the Matt Reif special. His freakish face from jaw fillers is too alarming to look at. Nikki Glaser's publicist continues to deserve her raise. The LA Times wrote under the headline, Why Nikki Glaser is Suddenly the Hottest Name in Comedy. Now, I read the article to pull some stuff out for you, and there's not really much there. You know the story, especially if you listen to me every day. You know, she was on Tom Brady, and yeah, okay, we got it. She continues to give worrisome quotes. So let me drop the lilt in my voice here because I'm being very serious. This bothers me, this quote. Nikki said, comedy, at its best, is relatable because we all have to die someday. We're all terrified of it, and depression comes from not really thinking about it and suppressing it in our subconscious. I was really trying to hide it for a while. I thought it made me a liability in this business. No one wants to work with someone depressed, but the business doesn't care. They're not worried about me killing myself. As long as I'm getting laughs with it, it's going to be okay. Hope Nikki's got someone in her life looking out for her. Meanwhile, awkward segue, 50 Cent has lashed out at Luenell following her comments about his comedy show. Complex reports that 50 Cent lashed out at Luenell after the legendary comedian said there were no women on his comedy showcase. Cent said, proof you can't make everyone happy. I loved Luenell's work. That's why I had them put her in Ghost. We saw her big ass was booked already, so we didn't reach out. You think I didn't want Monique some more or Amy Schumer? They on fire, WTF. Luenell had recently commented, I want to say this game is so misogynistic because I just heard about this comedy festival that my dear friend 50 is having right now. I haven't seen the paperwork, so I don't know, but from what I heard, there were several comedians on the plane, but not one female comic. Now, this might be mistaken, but this is the information I've got. There are men and women in the audiences in those shows. I think that their representation only makes sense. Recently, Mr. Cent posted a screenshot of a U.S. Weekly article on Instagram about him reaching billionaire status. He added, I don't want this to make you think I don't need a discount because I want a discount, LOL. I had told you CNN has a new Saturday night series, Have I Got News for You? 10 episodes. It premieres Saturday, September 14th. Johnny Mac has $1 on the square that says this runs 10 episodes and gets canceled. Why? It's not because of the talent. It's because of the time slot. Saturday night at 9 p.m., who's home Saturday night at 9 p.m.? Well, I am, but I'm not going to watch this on Saturday night at 9 p.m. That's video game time. Or actually, no, I usually do the Saturday night movie, often a James Bond film. Which is the best James Bond film, Johnny Mac? It is clearly The Spy Who Loved Me. I used to say On Her Majesty's Secret Service, but I think Spy Who Loved Me is just perfect. That all said, of course, Sean Connery is the best Bond. You can comment on this in the Facebook group. It's Daily Comedy News Podcast group. We could have a whole James Bond argument. I'm in. Start one. Anyway, I digress. Saturday, September 14th at 9 p.m. when I'll be watching college football and or a James Bond movie, CNN will air Have I Got News for You? It's hosted by Roy Wood Jr., but they've added two cast members, Amber Ruffin and Michael Ian Black. They will serve as the captains of the various teams. That is really good hiring. Great. Michael Ian Black, in a statement, said, I'm thrilled to be joining Roy Wood Jr. and Amber Ruffin as Have I Got News for You's DEI hire. I'm looking forward to spreading as much disinformation as possible on America's most trusted news network. My main focus has been and will continue to be pleasing my handlers in the Kremlin. Have I Got News for You, BBC series since 1990, typically showcases two teams talking about various news stories of the week. But again, Saturday night at 9 p.m.? I don't know, man. All right, let's get serious here. Eric Andre posted a clip on Instagram. I'll let Eric speak for himself for about a minute and change, and then I will jump in.
So I've been on planes for over 25 hours. I flew from New York City to LA, then LA to Melbourne, then Melbourne to Brisbane to shoot something. I got detained. And I got pulled out of a lineup and put in a special line in Melbourne where I was sniffed thoroughly by a dog. Those dogs are pretty much ineffective. I've heard statistics like they're 80 to 90% ineffective at sniffing out whatever they're trying to sniff out. It's like one of the many times I've been racially profiled at the airport. So this is a message for all Black, brown, and Indigenous people traveling through Melbourne today, especially if you're traveling Qantas International by Terminal 2. Please be careful. They are searching Black, brown, and Indigenous people. Please let me know if anybody knows the names of those officers with the dogs or what that program is. If anybody has information on a discrimination Australian lawyer, I'm all ears. Please send me that info. And if anybody has information on statistically how many people of color they put into this dog sniffing line versus white passengers, I'm assuming it doesn't reflect the percentage of white passengers versus POC passengers at any given time at that airport.
Later in the video, Eric said, anybody hiring me to work in Australia going forward, whether it's a production or a tour, please don't make me go through the Melbourne airport alone. Please provide a police escort or some type of security escort for me, or have me fly into Brisbane or Sydney directly. I do not feel safe in the Melbourne airport. I do not want to be humiliated or racially discriminated against anymore at these airports. I don't want to cut my hair and wear a three-piece suit so I'm treated like a first-class citizen. I shouldn't be made to feel that I am unaccepted by entering a country. Shame on the people at the Melbourne airport that have this cockamamie procedure. I doubt it yields any safer world for anybody in Melbourne or Australia. When I heard the story, it did ring a bell in my brain, and I'm just going to share a fact with you. And I don't want you to think that I'm throwing this in here to make some sort of comment. Factually, Eric Andre previously said he was racially profiled at the Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport in 2021 and later took legal action. Again, I don't want you to think I'm being dismissive of Eric Andre's concerns by throwing that in there. From late nighter Jimmy Kimmel, kind of always talking about retiring, and he was on a podcast that's hosted by California Governor Gavin Newsom, football player Marshawn Lynch, and their agent, Doug Hendrickson. That's a weird show. I guess the agent really wanted to have a podcast. Anyway, Kimmel told those guys, I'll have a hard time when it's over. It worries me. That's part of the reason I keep going. He explained that's why he keeps winding up signing another contract, because I fear that day, the Monday after my final show, and it's like, now what am I going to do? But he points out there aren't a huge number of options for late night hosts after the shows are over. I mean, I guess you could do a podcast. Conan seems to be doing okay. So if you want to argue about James Bond movies or just talk about comedy, join the Facebook group. It is Daily Comedy News Podcast Group. Matthew, welcome to the group. Matthew joined over the weekend. From comedy.co.uk, it is the funniest joke at the Fringe Festival. Let me just preamble here. These are jokes told by professional comedians in a comedy environment. So how comedy works, you don't just show up and just say a line and expect a big laugh. You kind of set the stage, and you know how comedy works, right? You're listening to me. You set up a premise, or the audience is in a good mood, or you're throwing it aside. You get how this works. It's not a dude in his basement recording a podcast. So all these are out of context, and we're told better by professional comedians. I have preambled enough. It is the funniest joke of the Fringe 2024. Your winner, Mark Simmons, with this professional joke told properly. I was going to sail around the globe on the world's smallest ship, but I bottled it. All right, we have 14 more. Alex Snook. I've been taking salsa lessons for months, but I just don't feel like I'm progressing. It's just one step forward, two steps back. I think that's a better joke. I also told it better than the first one. Alex Kitson. Ate horse at a restaurant once. Wasn't great. Starter was all right, but the main was dreadful. Did a little play on words there with main. Get it? Arthur Smith went with, I sailed through my driving test. That's why I failed it. I like it. Simple. Mark Simmons again. I love the Olympics. My friend and I invented a new type of relay baton. Well, he came up with the idea and I ran with it. See, that made me actually laugh. That was better. Olaf Falafel, great name, went with, my dad used to say to me, pints, gallons, liters, which I think speaks volumes. Love it. Chelsea Birkby. British etiquette is confusing. Why is it highbrow to look at boobs at an art gallery, but lowbrow when I get them out in Spoons? Spoons seems to be a restaurant in London. Masai Graham went with, I wanted to know which came first, the chicken or the egg, so I bought a chicken, and then I bought an egg, and I think I've cracked it. These are fun. I'm going to save more of these for Saturday, not tomorrow. Why not tomorrow, John? Because I already recorded tomorrow. Okay, you're on to me. You're busted. Doing a little traveling this week. Sometimes I got to record ahead. Hey, nice job by The Daily Show. They had a dog adoption event. It was called The Daily Show Presents In Dogcision 2024, Rescuing Democracy. Last Sunday in Chicago, fans had the chance to meet several correspondents and a whole lot of dogs looking for their forever homes. Desi Leidick, Jordan Klepper, Ronnie Chang, and Troy Awada were there. Jon Stewart, I guess, was at the Hamptons. Where are you, John? You can show up at this. The result was more than 250 new voter registrations and multiple in-progress adoptions. Pete Lee will be at the Comedy Vault in Batavia this weekend. Pete Lee, known for multiple appearances on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon and his stand-up clips on Instagram and TikTok. He said the Comedy Vault is a really special club. The owner, Liz, is really into comedy, and she's really great to comics. Few of them love comedians the way Liz does. Lee got into comedy. He said, I had a grandmother that was a lounge singer and told jokes in between her sets. I asked her for advice on jokes and whatnot. At one point, my grandmother was teaching me the structure of jokes, and she wouldn't let me eat dinner until I wrote her a proper joke. That was when I was 14 years old. In school, he majored in advertising, which taught him how to write 200 of something to get to one thing that's good. If you go see him, expect about 3/4 of the act will be material and about 1/4 will be crowd work. Pete says for a long time was known for being a good writer of material. I think my Tonight Show appearances reflect that. But the way the internet's going right now, you have to release a video every day or third day. If I was releasing all my material when people came to the shows, they wouldn't see anything new. I'm a trained improviser as well, and I think it's really fun to talk to the crowd. In his set, he talks about marriage, his dog, drinking, and how much it sucks to be nice. It says, if you really look at the core of what I'm talking about, I never say that sentence on stage, but I'm really talking about how much it sucks to be a kind person. I talk about everything from calling customer service and how everything's automated. I do a whole section on young people. Everybody's really hard on young people. They say it's the worst generation. They've said that forever. I defend young people for about 10 minutes, and it's funny. That's what comedy's supposed to be. You're supposed to be holding up a mirror to people's experiences so they can go, I feel that way, or that made me feel better. If you're giving out information or wisdom in a show, you want it to help people's lives. Comedy Vault, 18 East Wilson Street, Batavia, $25. You should go. Louise Atkinson said about the Fringe, Billy Connolly could tell me a story about a mayonnaise jar for 2 hours. All right, Louise, how'd you get into comedy? She said, I was dating a comedy nerd who wanted to try stand-up, so I researched comedy courses for them as a gift. The same day, I quit a job, which I hated, and my ex decided this was also a great time to break up with me. Anyway, I got an email saying a space had become available on the course the following week, and I did it myself. Her show, She's Got the Look, the inspiration. Well, I got into the last round of a competition. I was told I sound good, but look a mess. So the show is me trying to figure out which bit of me is the mess and why we make assumptions about people based on how they look, when we should really judge people based on whether I think a Jaffa cake is a cake or a biscuit. That'll tell me everything I need to know about you. What's the wrong assumption people make about you, Louise Atkinson? She says, when you're a more curvy, voluptuous person, the thing most people tend to think is you don't understand what healthy eating is. Let me be clear. I'm fully aware of what healthy food is. I know what a carrot is. It transports dip into my face. Chortle gave 4 stars out of 5 to Aaron Chen at the Fringe. And right, Aaron Chen is verging on the big league. In Sydney, he plays 3,000-seat rooms and has recently relocated to New York on a visa which classifies him as, quote, an alien of extraordinary ability. Chen's one of the only acts to do a bit of local material up top, referencing shortbread in Edinburgh Airport, which he says is his main source of current affairs coverage after he accidentally signed up for their newsletter. Chen moves there to a sizable chunk about airplane food, and it's not even the first time he's covered the topic. It's as if he takes on the routines as a challenge. Can he make it work? You bet he can. 4 stars out of 5. And from the SundayPost.com, if you see Kyle Akers walking backward around Edinburgh on a windy day, he's doing it for good reason, not for laughs, but to avoid triggering his excruciating nerve pain. He says, I've walked backward into the wind to avoid it. It sounds impossible that the wind could be so bad, but often the slightest pressure will trigger it. Like if someone hit me in the face, even wearing my glasses can't affect it. He has trigeminal neuralgia, a long-term pain condition that causes sudden attacks of sharp shooting pain in the face, mouth, and jaw that can feel like an electrical shock. I'm particularly doing this story. I had a version of this. I would get all of a sudden, the back of my head would feel like you stuck an ice pick in it. I would go from 100% fine to excruciating pain for half a second, and then it would go away. I had this. Luckily, it has mostly cleared up. It very rarely happens now. But in my 20s, this would happen often. Kyle explains, your brain doesn't realize it's just a little artery bumping into a nerve. Instead, it goes on red alert and thinks you're being stabbed. He describes his severe bouts of pain like a down power line flailing around in the inside of the right side of my head. Anytime it frequently bumps into something, it electrocutes me. When the pain gets really bad, that power line is really flailing and causes this electrical stabbing pain. Sometimes I can't function. I can't even open my eyes. I'll just lay on the floor, pushing my face against the cold kitchen tiles to try and feel something that's not this indescribable well of pain and nothingness inside my head. Dude, I feel for you, man. Wow. Sounds like it's this pretty bad. He said, I used to wince all the time and just tell people, including my audiences, that my head was sore. Now I still wince through a set, but I explain what's going on, which makes it a bit easier. Being more vocal about my condition has made people around me more aware of it. It feels less taboo. There's something in me making fun of it that makes it easier for people to deal with. It's been cathartic for me, too. Oh, this article says it's usually seen in patients over 60. I had it. I was in my 20s. I remember I was walking home from a party in the cold and it felt like a vice in my head. And then it started up and had it for a few years, most of my 20s, probably into my 30s. And that kind of cleared up. Kyle said, I've met so many more people with this condition than I would have thought. It's been wonderful to meet people who have dealt with what I have, but there are also some steps ahead. You meet people who've lived with this pain for 20 years and realize they found a way to live with some normalcy. So there's there. Again, I don't have it anywhere near as bad as he's describing it here. Anyway, he's at the Fringe, and his show's called Hard to Say, and you'll find him at Just the Tonic. And that is your comedy news for today. Did you pre-tape Friday, John? Yeah, I did. All right. Off my back. See you tomorrow. Well, you'll see me. I won't see you.